Hi everyone, welcome to our Masterclass, Innovation Journey for SMEs, which is in the ShaperZ program from FinnovAsia. I'm Bina Gupta, founder of Innovators Club Asia and Innovation Hong Kong. And I'd like to introduce you to David Thomas from Profound Knowledge Partners Asia.
Hi, Bina.
Hi, welcome. David has spent many years in senior business improvement, innovation, and management roles for organisations such as Hewlett-Packard and Philips Electronics, and running his own business consultancy, coaching and mentoring for the past 8 years. So with further ado, we'll start the masterclass. David, the word innovation is used so much these days everywhere, in newsletters, in companies, in newspapers, everywhere we go, people are talking about innovation. What really is innovation?
Thank you, Bina. It's a great question. Innovation is more than creativity and coming up with new ideas. That's what you hear about a lot. It's more than invention or creating new technologies. Innovation is about, as Natalie Turner, who wrote the book Yes, You Can Innovate, puts it, creating something valuable out of an idea that is new to you and potentially new to the market. Often it's not about inventing something new, but about combining existing technologies together in a new way to create value. An example of this was the introduction of the iPhone. The iPhone cobbled together components of existing technologies around a software package, including iTunes and the App Store, together with a phone. There was nothing new in any one part, but the way it was combined together was a uniquely powerful package.
David, there are different types of innovation. Can you elaborate on those types for us?
Sure, Bina. So when we talk about innovation, most people think of product innovation, such as drones or virtual reality headsets, but there's also service innovation, such as telemedicine delivery or mobile payment systems. There's operational or process innovation, such as what Dell did with their online ordering system for computers, and IKEA with their flat pack approach. There's business model innovation, such as the Uber or Grab model of mobility, and maybe the freemium sale of software is another business model innovation, which evolved as a business model back in the 1980s and is a popular approach now. And finally, we have experience innovation, such as the pet cafes that are popular in Tokyo.
For those of our audience who obviously may not know much about Tokyo, can you explain a little bit about what that pet cafe is?
Well,
the concept.
Many people in urban environments don't get an opportunity to interact with animals in some way. So it gives you an opportunity to go to a place and interact with an animal whilst you're having dinner and so on, and then leave the animal there at the pet cafe, so you don't have to carry them on.
And you don't have to look after them.
No, exactly.
Wow.
So it's an interesting way of experiencing something.
Thank you.
So one thing we must always remember when we're innovating is that value is created by people for people. Regardless of how much automation is involved, people choose to invest in and purchase innovative products, services, and experiences which make their lives better, easier, or more fulfilling. So such innovations are created in organizations comprised of people with a common purpose focused on the future.
David, we often talk about the different layers of the innovation journey for businesses which are broadly from startup going to maturity. Can you explain these horizons for us, please?
Sure, Bina. To your point, we need to understand that there are really 3 horizons to innovation. Let's start with Horizon 1. Horizon 1 is where we have incremental improvements that are made to existing products, services, business models, or experiences. That's about making things faster, stronger, more reliable, or better in some way. Now, Horizon 1 is usually shorter term, perhaps months, requiring minimal resources investment, often with small incremental planned developments in technology. Now, generally this is with, these are generally faster types of innovations and often with a smaller return on investment. Now, we see this sort of thing in mature businesses mostly, revamping their products, say, for example, with minimal risk of failure. An example of this might be a new gaming software, maybe version 8.4 with better graphics. Now, looking a bit further out to Horizon 2, this is more evolutionary and midterm, perhaps taking 1 to 3 years of development to bring it to the marketplace. So such innovations build on existing science and emerging needs on the cusp of current technology. Whilst requiring significant development effort and more investment risk, Horizon 2 innovations often have the potential for greater revenue and profit and help to develop in new categories of markets. Examples are things like the Internet of Things and additive manufacturing.
So a lot of our SMEs today and audience watching would be in this because we're looking at tech and how tech can drive, innovation would be in Horizon 2.
Potentially so. Could be in Horizon 1, could be Horizon 2, and we'll get to Horizon 3 now. So finally, we have Horizon 3. This is radical or revolutionary innovation. Now, this is examples such as the development of Hyperloop, the Hyperloop mode of transport, or biomimicry applications, maybe in textiles and other fields. So we often call such innovations disruptive because they have the potential to displace existing successful businesses. Now, Horizon 3 innovations can require a lot of resources and often take years or even decades to perfect new sciences or new business approaches to make a return on investment. Also, whilst the potential revenue on such ventures can be enormous, creating whole new industries, the risk of failures of Horizon 3 innovations is often considerable. Without deep pockets or perhaps government sponsorship, many such developments stall before they can be brought to market. For SMEs, you were talking about that a minute ago, the surest bets are really in Horizon 1 or 2. But if you have a really well-researched idea, can manage the risks of failure, and can get long-term backing, Horizon 3 innovations can have a huge payoff.
So let's summarise some key points here on what innovation is.
Sure. So innovation is more than just inventing stuff. It's about bringing new value to identified markets through new ideas or combining existing knowledge in new ways. Now, innovation is a people-centered process. It's really important to understand. And most importantly for any business, being clear on where you focus your innovation efforts, your purpose, is critical.
Apart from these layers, can we help the SMEs map out innovation in stages, as you've displayed actually in this chart over here? Can you take us through the 6 I's of innovation, please?
Sure, absolutely, Bina. It helps to see any kind of innovation as a number of stages with specific mindsets, tools, and methods useful at each stage. I'll summarise these briefly. To start with, everything begins and ends with purpose. If you're not clear on what you're setting out to achieve, then your journey is bound to be full of setbacks and dead ends, and more likely to end in failure.
So what you're actually saying, David, is that there's no point in starting an innovation journey unless you have a clear purpose. It's very important, I think, for SMEs to understand this central point, because they can spend, months, years on something, but if there is no purpose,
absolutely,
there's no value.
Yeah. So really looking at your purpose is about understanding the need in society that you're trying to address with your innovation. If you're clear on that, then your purpose can become clear and your broader approach can be better managed.
Thank you.
So getting into the stages, Bina, the 6 I's of innovation include identify trends and opportunities, ignite as many ideas as possible, investigate which of those ideas are best to move forward with, make clear decisions on where and how to invest, implement your plan, learning and adjusting along the way, and reflect on your learnings to improve your innovation and process. So each of these stages are as important as the other, but the process is not always linear. More often, we're iterating back and forward through the stages as we progress.
Now, tell us a bit more. Give us some examples of the 6 I's, please.
Sure. So let me step through this a little bit. So the first stage to address is identify. This is blue sky thinking, developing your vision to the future. Now, you need to identify the need in society that you're trying to address. And who are your likely customers? How many of them there may be? And what are the dilemmas that you're trying to help them to solve?
I think also, David, I find when even at this blue sky thinking stage, that a lot of startups are thinking they're solving a problem, but actually society doesn't have that problem. They've created a problem in order to solve it. So
right. A solution in search of a need.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. So that's the important part about this stage, is really investigating, trying to identify where the real need is, what the dilemmas are in society, and do they have value. So at this stage, we're often creating potential customer personas and getting a sense of how big the possible market may be through market research or other data gathering. That's the important part. Really doing your trends and pattern analysis and visualizing future opportunities to create actionable insights. An insight requires the problem to be understood. And in this stage, we're applying skills in analysis and vision. Now, this is where we get our team excited about new direction and possibility. And a mindset of curiosity is how we approach this stage. And through this, we validate and revise our innovation purpose. Now, once we've identified actionable insights from which to develop, the next stage is ignite. Now, this is the stage that people often associate with innovation, creating new ideas. Now, here we generate as many ideas as we can towards the earlier identified customer dilemmas. And we apply a mindset of pure creativity with our judgment using brainstorming and lateral thinking tools.
So when you talk about brainstorming and lateral thinking, I immediately think of Edward de Bono. Is that what you're referring to, that sort of concept?
Indeed. So learning the approach that de Bono talked about, lateral thinking, concept fans, maybe using parallel thinking to work your way through meetings and so on, but the whole idea of using tools specifically to generate ideas. We have that ability to mentor people through that.
Thank you.
Indeed. And so here we want to look at the quantity of ideas. It's more important than the quality at this point. And with training and practice, we can build up those skills of creative thinking. Now, once you have a list of ideas that, a long list of ideas, it's useful to categorize them against these horizons. And this might be important in the next stage. So that next stage, as we said, having generated as many ideas as possible, it's time to sort through them and determine which are the most valuable to carry forward. This is the stage of investigate. Here we apply a critical mindset and cold, hard logic to systematically research, test and analyse those list of ideas to decide which ones have the most merit. This investigate stage is extremely important because it often lays the groundwork for the next stage. At this stage, it's useful to have a set of criteria against which to score the ideas, such as a scale of innovativeness maybe which horizon we're talking about here, ease of development or ease of implementation, scalability, potential ROI, etc., those sorts of measures. So the most useful thing to come out of this stage are a small number of validated value propositions together with prototypes or other proofs of concept.
So does that sort of validation or proof of concept involve, bringing in a third party for independent views on your concept?
Yes, indeed. So sometimes you might bring in a market research company who can take those ideas out into the market and confirm whether they really have value or not. We may have created something, but we just don't have the market for it.
But a lot of our startups and SMEs, they don't have those resources. So what can they do?
Well, they can
get that.
You can contract a market research company. There are plenty of small, good market research companies that can help with them with that. The other thing is they can use mentors to go out and work with consultants, so to go and work with them in trying to research their ideas.
Thank you.
So now that we've got a smaller validated list of potential innovations, it's time to decide which ones to invest in and how to make that happen. Now, this is sometimes called the swamp of innovation, where great ideas meet the cold, hard reality of resources. The question here is where and how do we get the money, knowledge, and competencies to develop the validated value propositions through to market launch. Here we must blend sound judgment with skills of persuasion and influence, and a mindset of courage to invest in the next phases of development towards implementation. It's not uncommon to need to go in and out of this, the next being implementation, and the previous stage being investigate, iteratively to bring the product or service to the market. Useful tools at this stage, particularly if you're trying to seek venture capital or loans, include elevator pitches, pitch decks, business plans, hiring plans, project management methods, etc.
I think some of our audience might be aware of those areas because we have a number of pitching competitions that happen throughout the year, but we've also got some coming to finalisation at this festival. So please do look through the calendar. They are there so you can get some idea of what David is referring to.
Absolutely, indeed. Now, once we've got our plans in place and resources secured, it's time to implement and bring the innovation to market. This is the hard work part. Like a marathon, here we need to build the right team with the right skills to bring the innovation to market with good enough quality in the fastest time possible. That time to market is critical. SMEs also might want to consider partnering with others, such as technology providers, marketeers, contract manufacturers, etc., to bring knowledge and skills and delivery capability that they don't currently have and may not want to invest in themselves.
And I think this is where collaboration comes in, because many don't have the finances, so they will collaborate with other parties in order to get to this stage.
Right, indeed. Technology companies might want to collaborate with marketeers, or people with wonderful ideas but don't have the manufacturing capability might want to communicate or build partnerships with manufacturing companies.
And we're seeing this here in Hong Kong, especially where the Innovation and Technology Fund has, many funds where technology companies, even outside of Hong Kong, can partner with companies looking to upgrade in their technology in this way.
One of the advantages of this conference too is networking with people that can bring those, indeed. And at the implementation stage, it's critical to have agile development and project management capabilities to shepherd the innovation to release. Now, at this stage, you need a mindset of commitment to overcome the many hurdles you're likely to face. The critical point here is to get an early release out into the market, learning from feedback. Maybe there'll be setbacks, etc., but you need to ensure that you're on track before investing in scaling up delivery. Now, the final stage, Bina, is after you've gotten the first generation to market, is to improve. The mindset here we need is to be clever to rapidly improve on what has already been launched. The world doesn't stand still, and nor do your competitors. You need to optimize your innovation and scale up delivery. On top of iterative improvement to the product, service, or customer experience, it's time also to review how you did with the innovation journey. Many businesses, particularly SMEs, don't have the patience to do this, but the payoff in learning is huge. What can you do to improve in the process for your next innovation journey? Have you met your initial purpose? What do you want to do differently with your future innovation journeys?
That's a really useful model, David, and thank you for going through that with us. One of the things I think that I feel is an important thing, and maybe you've explained it through commitment, but I think the word resilience comes to mind. And I think that's very important, that SMEs need to have a resilience, but in different forms. Strong enough also to be able to accept if somebody says, well, maybe that concept isn't going to work, or maybe it's not such a great idea, but also to drive through if they really feel passionate about something, that it is going to work, but they need resilience in many different ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where the concept of the mindset of commitment combines together with the mindset of clever, to bring clever commitment to driving that forward. Indeed, the whole idea of resilience is very important to any business innovator.
Okay, so I think we can now summarise the innovation journey. Could you just summarise that for us quickly?
Right, indeed. So first of all, start your drive to innovate with a focus on purpose and people. Be clear on the dilemmas that you're trying to solve and for whom. The next part is, remember that innovation is more than just ideation. There are 6 stages to deliver truly valuable innovation. And take note of the most useful mindsets and tools to help you navigate successfully over and over again.
What does an SME need to know to be successful in delivering innovation?
So, Bina, any single innovation, whilst potentially successful, can be accidental. Yeah, we could just come up with an idea that works. To truly create value, innovation must be targeted, deliberate, and a continuous process. In fact, most of the large companies we admire today, such as Google, Apple, and Airbnb, began as SMEs with a clear intent to create new value and to continuously innovate and improve.
What specific challenges, David, do SMEs face with the innovation journey?
So, Bina, we've seen 3 common challenges that SMEs face with the innovation journey. The first one we see often is the one-shot problem. Having started a business and achieved some good success with a particular set of product services or a business model, they find themselves struggling to innovate further, perhaps falling behind in the marketplace. This is often because they've become narrowly focused on continuing to implement and have forgotten the more strategic elements of revisiting their purpose, continuously looking at trends and patterns for new opportunities. So the best companies invest resources in continuously innovating for a profitable future. The second common challenge that we find that SMEs face is finding and managing resources to operate and grow their business. So if the challenge is tech resources, how can the business upskill or hire staff with the right capabilities, or partner with tech companies to bridge the gap? Conducting a technical and leadership capabilities analysis in the business and creating a plan for closing those gaps is then needed.
Well, they're definitely at the right place, because ShaperZ is introducing our SMEs to a number of tech companies. You can go and visit them at the booths, but there will be a lot of information on what is possible in that area.
It's a brilliant opportunity, isn't it? And if the challenges are finances, so where can the business seek investment capital or development loans? Has the business explored Invest Hong Kong or other government resources?
That's actually a good point, David, because Invest Hong Kong offers various funding to support SMEs, and there are also a lot of other government incubators and other incubators that can assist in this area. And they're here at the conference again. So please, to our audience, do reach out if you're looking for funding, because there are booths there where people can help you, and if not, we can help as well.
And coming back to the finances piece, a critical thing is, in order to put a pitch together, have they really created and honed the right thinking around that pitch? And have they begun networking with venture capital companies, private investors, bankers, that sort of thing? Has a business plan been built to support that pitch? So that's an important part of seeking the finances. Now, the other piece that resources that they really struggle with often is if the business is struggling to know what to do next. This is where working with business coaches and mentors can make a significant difference to future success. Such mentors can often point ways to free up resources and help find potential partners to get what the business needs to move forward.
And I think that's a very good point again, because a lot of SMEs and startups in particular have this problem where there's a lack of resources. So do they spend months on developing a pitch, or how do they go to these pitching programs? What is really relevant for them? So a mentor, I think, becomes very, very important to try and clear that mass of which way forward.
Right, indeed. And very often they will help shorten the journey. Basically, they will help you through the path a lot quicker and a lot more effectively, and that saves you time. Now, the third main challenge that we often see with SMEs is about scaling up to the future. Now, that's somewhat related to the first two challenges. Often SMEs grow to a certain size and then they struggle to scale up. So such businesses need advice on how to put in place the right structure to transition to that next stage. Investing in the right business coach or mentor at this point can make the difference between stagnating or growing unprofitably and potentially accelerated profitable growth. Most importantly, business owners must be willing to change and learn new ways of working for themselves.
David, I couldn't agree more. I think SMEs need to really be able to flex and have resilience in this innovation journey to be successful. So I think that's a good time to wrap up now this masterclass. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us in our masterclass today. If you would like to hear more on innovation or get some further guidance or have some questions, please feel free to contact us at the Innovators Club Asia at this email. It's up here, membership@innovatorsclubasia.com. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bye for now.